All right, so more space and more lot size, why people are moving to Plumas Lake. I'm here with Trey because we're going to be talking about an area in the greater Sacramento Valley that I feel has so much potential and has really turned into a buyer's market with a lot of new home buyer programs and some great benefits for first-time home buyers especially. It's a really good time to be able to come out of pocket with next to nothing or nothing at all. Lock in a great interest rate because it's such a buyer's market before the Plumas Lake market really explodes. So Plumas Lake, they've had a lot of growth, but the market hasn't really exploded. And the main reason, in my opinion, and many other people's opinion, is that there isn't a grocery store in town. And I just heard from some people that are very involved in different communities that there is talks and there is work on development for a grocery store. So when that happens, here's the thing is Plumas Lake has great commuting distance right into downtown Sacramento and to the airport. So you have a lot more job opportunities, but you get a lot more land, a lot bigger houses, and a lot more for the price. So it's very affordable with great commuting, and you still kind of get that small town vibe. It's just that it's missing some key convenient factors, which a grocery store is a little bit more than just a convenient factors. But the nice thing about someone being able to buy right now is that with it being a buyer's market, you can get a lot of sellers to cover your closing costs. And with certain down payment assistance programs and other benefits for first-time homebuyers out there, being able to have a seller give you extra money is a huge benefit. For instance, I have access to the Cal HFA program, which the Cal HFA is a down payment assistance program. However, either you have to pay a lot of our commissions, which they're pretty small. Our commissions, I just found out, are significantly lower than national averages, which I did not realize that most lenders, their national average commission or origination fee is around 2.5% to 3%, which gets built into the interest rate, which is why national average interest rates are so high. Ours is way lower than that. But the nice thing with a buyer's market is you can have a seller pay for that. The other thing is that now one of our key lenders that we work with, they're accepting Vantage scores, which is huge for first-time home buyers, especially because what you see on your banking app or your Credit Karma or some other app is probably going to be a little bit different than what your actual FICO score is. But with Vantage score, it's probably going to be a little bit higher. And so we're able to accept that, which means better pricing and better deals for you. And then the third is that the main company I like to work with that offers both of those programs, they actually partner with a company called Built. So when you make on-time mortgage payments, you get points just like a credit card, and you can use those points for a lot of different restaurant perks, but also I believe some travel and hotel stays. So right now, to me, is a great time. We just had a new Fed chair take over, and we just heard that oil prices are starting to drop. So I think with the combination of both of those, you're going to see interest rates really start to come down. But as interest rates really come down, more people are going to be hitting the market, and it's just going to get busier and busier, and values are going to go up. So I'm never the type that tries to pressure someone into buying now, but there's going to be a huge benefit in buying now versus waiting. And I brought my guest speaker, Trey Davis, who is a local to Plumas Lake. Trey, were you born and raised in Plumas Lake?
Yes, I've lived here my whole life. Born and raised.
Nice. And former pro golfer, probably still a pro golfer for most compared to most of us, huh?
Yep, I try to be.
Nice. Well, Trey, what's the name of the brokerage you're with again?
It's called JPAR Iron Horse Real Estate. They're out of Pleasanton, but we also have a Sacramento office.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, and Trey works all over, but Trey's a local, and so I have a few questions for Trey. The first question is, what are the average home prices, maybe lot size and square footage of homes in Plumas Lake?
Yeah, so I think you brought up a really good point. But just to kind of digress a little bit more, one of the biggest reasons people are moving out there is they're getting more value for their money. And so the average to low to mid range is 500,000. That's typically around the range for a 2,200 to 2,300 square foot home, which is a pretty big lot compared to Natomas or other Sacramento regions. And so you're getting larger homes, bigger backyards, and just a lot of, newer suburban style like construction homes. These were in the early 2000s, 2008
Right.
range. These are relatively new homes still.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say in Natomas, I just had a client that it was for 500,000. I think they're getting like a 1,500 square foot house. Yeah. A lot
Yeah,
smaller. Yeah.
much smaller. Yeah. And so out here, you're just getting more value for your money. And so, if you want maximum space and affordability, like Plumas Lake really becomes, attractive for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then my second question, what does the commute typically look like to downtown Sacramento, and how easy is it to access the freeway?
Yeah, so it's actually more manageable than a lot of people expect. I mean, you're
Okay.
right on Highway 70, so it's right there, easy to get on. It's typically about 35 to 45 minutes to get into like the downtown areas, depending on traffic. But Highway 70 is never really too packed, I'd say, until you get into downtown.
Oh,
But people are commuting differently now. So like, back in the day, people were commuting 5 days a week, but now, with remote positions, people are going to the office maybe a few times a week. And so it really just changes the whole dynamic up.
yeah, that's a great point. And then my other question was, are you seeing a lot of houses on the market in Plumas Lake? And do buyers seem to have more options than, the last several years?
Yeah, I mean, a few years ago, like buyers were dealing with like extremely low inventory, multiple offer situations, and homes that were just selling like almost immediately. So people
Right.
were having to move fast and waive contingencies and all that. And so I think the market is way more balanced right now. So there are more homes that are sitting on the market longer, and buyers actually have time to like slow down and make thoughtful decisions. And so I think that's just creating opportunities for more people. So we're seeing price reductions,
Mm.
closing cost credits, rate buy downs, other incentives. So yeah, it's definitely a lot more opportunity right now.
Yeah, I think that's huge because, for a lot of buyers, I find for a lot of people on the mortgage side, money's really tight right now. And so if you can find a market where you can get a seller to cover your closing costs, especially as a first time home buyer, or someone who you don't want to sell your property because maybe you have a good rate, but you don't necessarily have the capital to put down another down payment and closing costs. I think that's just a great option to be able to enter into a market with, some seller credits, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. These are great incentives for, I mean, first time home buyers and a lot of people that are trying to get into it right now.
Yeah. And then my last question, which you kind of talked about this, but should people be buying in a major declining market? I know you and I have looked over the Plymouth Lake market. That's not in a huge decline, but I hear all the time people say, should I be buying? Shouldn't I wait until prices are just dropping? And to me, that sounds silly, but should people be buying? And then or should they be looking for an area with steady growth?
Yeah, I think we're always trying to look for appreciation. I think the biggest thing is with real estate, you're always looking long term wise. People are
Yeah.
like really focused on what it is right now, but who knows what it could look like in the next 6 to 12 months. So I think like the better question is like, am I buying, like you said, in a strong area with like this long term value? And so sometimes markets simply cool off, and but smart buyers should really focus on that long term appreciation. So that location, the job growth, schools. Like you said, there's so it's a holiday market is what I heard was coming into Plumas Lake, which is
Okay.
really good because Plumas Lake hasn't had a grocery store. It's never had one, so that's a huge drawing point for some people.
What was the name of the grocery store?
Holiday market.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah,
been
I
to
mean,
one. But,
me
yeah.
neither. That's a huge essential to have as a grocery store, which is every time I've ever talked to someone and why they say, "Oh, I don't want Plumas Lake." I say, "Why?" And they say, "Well, it's just really far out there." And I say, "Okay, you could say Roseville's really far out there from what?" And they always say, "You know what? From grocery stores."
Mm.
Yeah, so to have a grocery store that close is huge. A holiday market.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. And then you got Costco about 5 minutes down the road, Walmart. So there's
Okay.
a lot coming to this area, especially the Linda, Olivehurst area. Like it's growing a lot right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a great investment. I know as a pro golfer, I'll throw a curveball question. Is there
Mhm.
there's a golf course in Plumas Lake, right? Yeah.
Yes, Plumas Lake Golf Course. There's also Peachtree. Those are kind of the two main courses in the area.
Okay. How's the Plumas Lake golf course?
Plumas Lake is good. It's a public course, so
Okay.
you kind of expect it to be a public course, and then you have Peachtree. It's a private course. That's where I usually play at, but it's in a solid area, so like it's a lot of people come out here and commute from Sacramento because when you go to courses in Sacramento, like you're expecting 6 hour rounds. Like those are really long rounds because it's such a high volume area. But when you come over here, it's kind of hidden, secluded, really peaceful and quiet, not a lot of people. So it's great.
Oh, I love it. I know you and I are working on planning an event out there. I like the idea that it's not a 6 hour round.
Yeah, nobody likes that.
No, no. All right. Well, thank you, Trey. And if anyone wants more information and you're watching this video, I'll have some links to Trey to schedule a time to talk with him.
Yeah, thanks, Cameron. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.